So the Republicans are scared of this movie. They criticize it for reasons like Ken has low testosterone or a woman owns a car. Their outrage is based on the assumption that the movie's doing anything even remotely original. Ken's quote-unquote low testosterone persona is a trope that has existed in Hollywood for decades. I don't know why they're not mad about the dude in the Bee movie who got cucked by a bee. But anyway, there are so many valid, non-demented reasons to dislike the movie. I hate it, and I'm making this video to assuage the guilt of contributing to his ticket office. As I sat there for 1 hour and 45 minutes watching the movie, yes, I watched the credits too, one question plagued my mind. Who the fuck is the target audience, besides feet fetishists? All the characters state the feminist moral of the story in really long didactic monologues, but the movie doesn't actually show the oppressive expectations of women that the characters talk about. It just gets one woman to verbally list examples of them while other women sit around and gawk as if witnessing the second coming of Christ Christina. Who is the target audience? The only people who understand the message of the movie are the people who already understand the message of the movie, but then this movie offers absolutely nothing new or insightful to us, because you don't need to fucking tell women that the patriarchy is bad. It just makes the most shallow observations about what it's like to be a woman under the patriarchy, and believe it or not, women have also made those observations by simply existing. If this movie tries to get men to be aware of the male privilege that might be invisible to them, it absolutely fails at doing that because it gets the character to lecture endlessly at the audience instead of actually show the impacts of the patriarchy on women beyond jokes about mansplaining. Show women struggling with the beauty standards instead of just yell about how bad beauty standards are. Oh wait, you do, but in this case you're enforcing the beauty standards and unironically calling this character ugly as a gag. Maybe it's just really meta, and that's why I don't get it. At the beginning, the movie had some interesting commentary about internalized misogyny. I liked the witty humor and the Ken turning into a patriarchal fascist subplot. And then Sasha ranted about Barbie's negative impact on girls' body image, and the movie should have ended there. Before it attempted to paint Barbie, the corporate symbol, as the victim of the feminist ideologies of the mean 12-year-old girls. If the movie had ended there, it would have just been mediocre, it wouldn't have been horrible. It would have even been cool and subversive in my books to end a movie at the 30-minute mark, but alas, here we are. Barbie the movie is hypocritical about everything that it tries to address, but its stance about Mattel is a microcosm of its hypocrisy. It satirizes Mattel for having an all-male board, which seems like its stance is anti-Mattel, but then it portrays all the Barbies in Barbieland as completely ethnically diverse, which is not representative of the realistic Mattel Barbie line at all. If you want to criticize Mattel and everything that it stands for, wouldn't it be easier to realistically represent what the Barbie product line actually was like, and cast 1,000 CGI Margot Robbies? But even though the movie makes a half-assed attempt at pointing out, wow, the men rule the Barbie brand, they still misrepresent what the Barbie brand is from the first scene. It's a movie sponsored by Mattel to reassociate Barbie with feminism because girls now get our dose of internalized misogyny from TikTok instead of from their stupid fucking doll. As the movie starts to try and paint Barbie as the victim of other women's internalized misogyny, we finally know the whole point of the movie is to turn everybody into a Mattel apologist. I mean, look at the weird fucking scene where Barbie meets the founder of Mattel and they walk into a goddamn void to talk for a really long time about feminism and becoming a human. They literally end the movie with humanizing Barbie, turning Barbie the corporate brand, Barbie the idea, into Barbie the glob of flesh. That whole scene with the founder of Mattel was weirdly forced and abrupt, even for this movie standards. They must have paid Margot Robbie half the world's GDP to get her to read those stage directions. There is no point to that scene except to gaslight us into thinking that the founder of Mattel was a fairy godmother type of lovable person.
I'm a Barbie girl! Bring the Barbie world! Life in plastic! It's fantastic! You can brush my hair and dress me everywhere! Imagine.
Gerwig is an expert at half-assed feminism. You'd think that in a movie that attempts to make some literal political message out of the Barbie doll, the representation of Eurocentric beauty standards, there would be some attempt made at dismissing the beauty standards, right? Well, yes, a fat woman says the words, "I am beautiful," once. 2 seconds later, Gerwig makes ew cellulates a major plot point in the movie. Half the movie is just gags about the weird Barbie being ugly and Barbie screaming when she sees her. Wait a minute, this conventionally attractive white woman has short hair? Ew, she's so ugly. Ha 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 ha, she looks like a lesbian. Ha ha ha. Gerwig seems like she's from the 1950s, but she also has the sense of humor of a 2-year-old, so I'm really confused. She doesn't challenge the beauty standards even once. She just threw in a really weird fucking scene of Margot Robbie telling an old woman that she's beautiful as if she's reached feminist enlightenment about reclaiming beauty standards. After Margot Robbie calls an old woman beautiful in a touching everybody's beautiful moment, she then cries about how she's not pretty anymore. Multiple times, a character just reaches random enlightenment unprompted, and then like 3 seconds later the said character backtracks 10 waves of feminism to make a billion fat jokes or make fun of Ken for crying. While you're at it, Barbie, just tell us that women shouldn't be allowed to vote. I know that's what you're thinking. You should just say it. I take back what I said about this film not doing anything original. That's not true at all. This film revolutionizes the character development model that you learn about in film school. The character development in this film, it's fucking circular. So anyway, yes, they called Margot Robbie ugly, and then they threw in a line like, note to the filmmakers, if you want to make the point that it's okay to be ugly, then casting Margot Robbie is probably not the best choice. Yeah, maybe take your own fucking advice. Remember when Elon Musk fired all the Twitter staff? Gerwig should have hired them so that they can teach her how political correctness works. After attempting to make cliché and uninsightful, but mostly accurate critiques of the patriarchy, Barbie then infantilizes everything that it previously attempted to stand for by giving the real-world issue of feminism a fairy tale ending. Barbie first establishes itself rather pretentiously and seriously as a mere symbolism for the patriarchy and the political issues that stems from that in the real world. The film creators did their best to imitate the real patriarchy when they made Ken take over Barbie Land, and this they actually didn't do badly because they've got plenty of examples of the patriarchy in real life to source inspiration from. But then the writers suddenly realized that they need a happy ending for this movie, and because they've put Barbie and her girlies in a real sticky situation, and by that I mean an actual patriarchy, the only way to provide them with a happy ending is to come up with a solution for the patriarchy. You know, the patriarchy, the complex social structure that has dominated humanity for 12,000 years that their movie is absolutely not helping to dismantle. So the creators of Barbie just spent the last part of the movie giving women the worst tutorial ever on how to solve patriarchy. First, they try to teach us how to quote-unquote unbrainwash women who are brainwashed by the patriarchy. The being brainwashed part is supposedly a symbolism of the internalization of patriarchal ideals. This movie portrays internalized misogyny as literal amnesia. I'm not even fucking kidding. These brainwashed women who are supposed to represent women who internalize misogyny just have no idea who they are, and they forget all of their past accomplishments, and all they do is kick their feet and squeal, "I love scrubbing men's feet," with the most moronic, excited smile on their faces. What the fuck? The funny thing is, Gerwig has already accurately portrayed internalized misogyny elsewhere in this movie when she had girls call Barbie a bimbo because of the way she dresses and have Barbie call Weird Barbie ugly, but when she actually tries to portray internalized misogyny for the plot, she just does the cinematic equivalent of taking a huge shit on the floor. And of course the solution to this brainwashing is womansplaining, having a smart woman lecture a stupid woman to restore her cognitive function. Because of course, the reason women internalize misogyny is because we're cognitively unable to comprehend the fact that our own oppression is bad. The reason that the patriarchy still gets perpetuated is because of women's lack of social and economic power, not because of our lack of awareness of the issue. We have plenty of fucking awareness, but Gerwig, there's this cool thing called systemic oppression that from every angle reduces your agency and your power to put that awareness into action, and more importantly limits the impact that you can make with your agency. The writers give the women in Barbie Land too much imaginary fairy tale-like agency so that once they're aware that the men are being big ol' meanies, they can just now beat the patriarchy. It's incredibly offensive to real women under the real fucking patriarchy. Also, why the fuck do you need to make this a secret mission besides wanting to copy spy movie plots because you don't know how to create your own dramatic tension? Why do the Barbies need to keep the Kens from knowing that they're verbally spreading feminist ideology? What are the Kens going to do about it? This movie just flows further and further away from reality because this isn't even a representation of the patriarchy. Just because men are in power doesn't mean that free speech suddenly doesn't exist. Unless it's supposed to represent Afghanistan, but I doubt that because I still can't see Barbie's hair. Not only does Gerwig condescend women's collective cognitive ability, but she also infantilizes the entire feminist movement. Once you're aware of the patriarchy, beating it is such an easy thing. Not sure why real women needed multiple ways of feminism to do it, just follow these steps. First, seduce men by sucking up to them, put on makeup and flatter his ego to get him to think that you're on his side, and then be a whore. Yes, the movie suggests that women should cheat on their boyfriends with all of the other men so that men go to war against each other out of jealousy and women can sneak back into the Pink City Center to rewrite the Constitution. Flattering your opponent to get them to think that they're on your side only works in spy movies, which is clearly where the writers copy this idea from. It doesn't work in literally any other opposition like chess games or societal movements against oppressive power structures. You thought that you should fight the patriarchy? Barbie just told us that we should appeal to men and enforce the very stereotypes that the patriarchy thrives on. Barbie is really fucking bad at feminism. And don't tell me, it's a kids movie, why do you expect it to solve the patriarchy? It's not a fucking kids movie. It's been taking itself way too seriously from the start with the jabs against men and the quirky use of the buzzwords and the sex jokes. Gerwig just resorted to using a kids movie ending because she realized she doesn't know what the fuck she even wants to say by the end, so she just says that everybody's happy and the CEO of Mattel gets 1,000 blowjobs from me. Every single character in this movie is one-dimensional and reductive and inconsistently characterized because Gerwig just uses characters as a mere tool to contribute to her stupid didactic tone. The mother-daughter bond subplot is fucking stupid. Gerwig, I know it's mandatory to have a mother-daughter bond arc in every movie that you make for some reason, but please stop. You can't even make us emotionally invested in the main character of the film. Why would I care about the make-up session between these two human-shaped plot devices? Okay, after all my rambling, here's the final question. Why the fuck is there a movie about Barbie? You wanna fucking explain yourself, Mattel? No one gives a shit about Barbie. It's a stupid fucking toy. Stop taking yourself so seriously. You think Barbie is a source of our internalized misogyny? Stop fucking kidding yourself. Our body images came destroyed, and your pathetic fucking toy was the one tiny drop of petroleum on the forest fire that is systemic misogyny. Your anatomically incorrect, pathetic attempt at imitating a woman is not as culturally impactful as you think it is, and we sure as hell aren't gonna gaslight ourselves into thinking that Barbie, the corporate fucking symbol, is empowering. To anyone. It's a shell of a movie. It's a Barbie doll in human clothes. There's a talented and conventionally attractive cast, great cinematography, great set design, mostly good comedic timing, but thematically, it's a soulless hail to the patriarchy and capitalism, thinly veiled by half-assed attempts at political correctness and the color pink. Gerwig needs to pick a fucking side.